All right, so we are recording.
All right.
How's it going, man?
It's going good.
We're gonna go. We're gonna dive right into this show, guys. We don't normally do this, but we're gonna open up a beer immediately because Eric needs this beer. This is Eric Barnett, by the way, singer-songwriter here locally. I guess West Ashley, right? That's where you're from.
West Ashley,
yeah.
Yep.
So does some West Ashley stuff, Somerville stuff, Charleston stuff. I don't know where else you go. We'll get into that and see where else you go, but. You're not even getting into a glass. I mean, this guy just needs...
Oh, no, I'm right into it.
You just need a beer immediately.
I do. I appreciate it.
Here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You know, I work at a brew house, man. We got to put everything in a glass.
Yeah.
But I drank this beer last night on the show. I bought it for you.
Thank you.
Because I knew you were drinking lagers the other night and at Homegrown Saturday when you played. So I bought this, and I explained it last night, but I'm going to explain it to these guys one more time. Real quick. Let me pull this up. I didn't pull it up.
Sure.
First off, though, I wanted to say I appreciate you coming out. I know we were supposed to do this show Saturday at Homegrown and had some equipment malfunctions. Not really malfunctions. I forgot to bring some fucking equipment the other night to Homegrown. I need to create an ops checklist of the stuff I'm supposed to bring remotely when I go to different places. But yeah, I forgot my power cord to this laptop here, to the Surface, and didn't have enough battery life left to do the podcast. And you were feeling a little under the weather anyway, so
yeah, my voice was down to about 1% then anyway, so it worked out.
So the computer was at 14%. You were at 1%. That worked out well.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this beer one more time, and then we'll get into this thing and see what's going on with you, buddy. But I appreciate you understanding the other night. And,
not a problem, man.
And rescheduling. So this is the Senior Chief, lager from Benford Brewing Company up in Lancaster, South Carolina. This is kind of a long description, but I think it's a good description, and it kind of fits the week that we just had celebrating the remembrance of Pearl Harbor. So, Senior Chief lager, it's an American light lager, 4.2% ABV, alcohol by volume. It's inspired by a Hawaiian greeting certificate of my grandfather's landing in Pearl Harbor dated June 12th, 1943. Our family found the certificate in his closet after his passing at the age of 94. He was assigned to the USS Sperry AS-12, which earned the distinction of being the first U.S. Navy ship to launch after Pearl Harbor during World War II. He retired after 20 years as a senior chief, hence the name of the beer, and continued civil duties for an additional 18 years as an electronic mechanic ordnance worker on torpedoes. He received many letters of appreciation for superior performance and gave his best to the Naval Weapons Station here in Charleston, South Carolina. As we grew up, we always knew our grandpa as a kind man who would sneak us into the VFW or Fleet Reserve for a quick, cold lager. His name was Grover C. Fewaux, Fewx, W-O-X. Born February 29th, 1924, and died September 30th, 2018 of last year. So that's what we're drinking.
All right.
And cheers to the Senior Chief.
Yeah.
All right. So why did it take you so long to get here?
Well, the short answer is Charleston traffic. The long answer is had a minor fender bender on the way here. Everybody's okay. All the vehicles are okay. Just little scuff marks, but
yeah.
Spent some time waiting on the highway patrol, and they didn't show.
Wow. So that's been an hour and 15 minutes at least, right?
Yeah, we waited about an hour for them, and nobody showed, and everybody was okay, and it was a real nice lady, and we just kind of exchanged information, and we're both going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no major damage. I mean, you're not going to
No.
have to probably repair anything. Maybe some scratch remover or something
Yeah,
like that.
just a little scuff down the side of my little tiny car, and a little
Yeah.
scuff on her back bumper a little bit.
Right. Well, I feel kind of responsible because we rescheduled this thing, and I had you drive all the way over here in rush hour traffic to come do this thing at the studio here, Craft Conversation Studios. So, good thing everybody's okay, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and,
I'm not worried about it.
probably the big thing is everybody. There's probably much more major accidents out there at this time of day in the Low Country than to worry about your little fender bender.
Yep.
So that's understandable. They got more important things to do.
For sure.
Yeah. So I know you were in there Saturday night, and I asked Fleming Moore. Of course, we all know Fleming Moore, Shady for mayor. He didn't win, by the way, but I asked him the other night. I said, "What should I talk to Eric about?" And I was hoping to talk to you about Ohio State a little bit Saturday night because, of course, Ohio State was playing in their championship game for their conference, and Clemson played, of course, and won. So I was hoping that Ohio State was going to have a horrible loss, and I was going to be able to rag you about it. But I guess you're from Ohio State, correct?
I'm from the state of Ohio. Yes. Yes.
Ohio, yeah, the state of Ohio.
Yes.
And but I guess you're not an Ohio State fan, correct?
No, I really don't have a dog in the race. My mom went to Ohio State, so she's a fan. I went to Bowling Green State University. There was a period of time that my uncle coached basketball for University of Cincinnati, and right now I have a cousin that plays basketball for Michigan State University.
Okay.
So I don't really have any sort of personal connection with Ohio State, and aside from basketball, I'm not big into the sports ball. So
Okay.
I'm going to shoot myself in the foot for saying this. Everybody from South Carolina already hates me because I'm from Ohio, so I may as well just make the Ohio folks hate me too. But
Right.
Ohio State fans can be obnoxious. I will.
I mean, they all can, really. Let's be honest, but
They all can, but let's be serious. Ohio folks that move down here are already kind of walking on eggshells. We're already coming into a new place and intruding, and then they got to put up the flags and have the bumper stickers and do the whole thing. So,
right.
yeah.
And I don't know. I hear it all the time that it's an Ohio transplant state or whatever.
Yeah.
Or town, but I don't know what the actual numbers are as far as Ohio people being down here. But you do run into a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
I would wonder. I'd wonder what the breakdown on the numbers is, but then I also wonder what the breakdown on advertising where you're from is as well.
Yeah.
Because I would say the largest portion of people from Ohio who are coming here are probably Ohio State fans. They're flying the flags. They got the bumpers. They got the bumper stickers on, and
Yeah.
so maybe everybody else from the other states just hide it better. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people from the north. I mean, people want to come down and, what they call snowbirds. A lot of people come down seasonally, but there are a lot of transplants that come down and actually stay here from northern states, Michigan, Ohio, New York, whatever. But it seems like you hear about more Ohio, but I'd like to see the actual numbers for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I know at one point there was the gobacktoohio.com, and it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's probably more fun than it is anything else, and I have fun with it too. But I wonder what the numbers are. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what Fleming Moore told me to tell you, because I like picking on Fleming. So this is what he told me when I said, I have a podcast with Eric Barnett tonight. Anything we should talk about? This is what Fleming said. Ask him if Buckeyes are really an aphrodisiac. Shady heard if you rub them on your nipples or grind them into your coffee, they'll make you hard as a horse. Is what Fleming says.
Well, I like coffee, so
Okay.
I'll give it a go.
And I really shouldn't say the other part of it,
Okay.
but I'm going to anyway.
May as well, man.
Ask him if Ohioans really use Buckeyes to make anal beads.
All right. Well. Okay.
Yeah.
Since I gotta be real careful since I'm representing an entire state here.
Right.
I do not have any experience with any of the things just listed. I know of the Buckeye as the actual Buckeye, and then they make the Buckeye.
What is a Buckeye?
It's some kind of nut. Comes
Okay,
from a
just a
Buckeye
nut.
tree, and
Okay.
it's dark brown with a light brown little circle in it. And have you ever had the candy Buckeyes that they make? Have you ever seen those?
I never have.
They make some kind of...
Not that I wouldn't, but I haven't.
They make some kind of peanut butter fudge, and then they dip it in dark chocolate, and it looks like a Buckeye, like the Ohio State Buckeye. And those are... I have a lot more experience with those than...
Right. So kind of like a macadamia nut or any other type of nut? I mean...
Sure. I'm not even sure if you eat it. I don't know.
No?
Don't know. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, sorry, Fleming. We
So that's your buddy Fleming.
Yeah, we ran out of Buckeye stuff right off the top. So, guess we'll have to move on to other things.
So he had sent that stuff to me before I found out that you're really not an Ohio State fan. So I'm like, well, it doesn't really work, but it's funny. So I figured I'd say it anyway. But
you know what? I'll ask. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
You gave me a project.
All right. Sounds good. So what brought you down here?
My wife's mother moved here probably 5-6 years ago.
So she's from Ohio as well?
She's also from Ohio, yep. And we came down here one time to visit her on vacation. We liked it. We were kind of thinking about maybe moving somewhere. And at the time, I was a factory worker. I worked in a factory for 13 years. And the factory got sold. And people had the option of either staying on or they could head on down the road. And they paid me a lot at the factory, paid me just enough to keep me, but I didn't love it. I was looking for an out, and this was it. So we thought, we may as well just sell about 75% of our possessions and move somewhere. So we decided to move down here.
Why here? I mean, did you read about it in the magazine? Did you hear other people talk about it?
Well, we had visited the one time, and we really loved Chicago. We always thought we were going to move to Chicago eventually, being Midwesterners. It's kind of the capital of the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Sorry if I'm pissing off Minneapolis or what have you, and my wife likes the warmer weather. The first time we came down here was for Christmas. I rode my bike to the beach, which you can't do in Ohio on Christmas.
Yeah.
And really, it was kind of an experiment. It was more my wife's idea. I just kind of went along with it. Let's go for it. And then, moving down here, I found a job I'm happy with and found a lot of places to play music, and I'm happy with that. So we're here now.
Okay. So a few things. So how long have you been here?
Just over 2 years.
Okay. So
about 2 and a half,
too long.
Yeah.
And what kind of factory work are you talking about? What did you used to do?
It was General Mills. And when you think of General Mills, you think of cereal.
Right.
But it was like making like donut mix. So basically taking flour and sugar and a few other ingredients, putting them together, repackaging them, and sending them to bakeries. So I ran a machine that just did the packaging. Okay.
You did that for 13 years?
Yeah.
Didn't that make you donuts? That's pretty funny, right?
When people talk about giving up food, there's things they can give up, things they could never give up. I've been around enriched flour so much that I could give up bread. I could do it.
Right. Probably not a bad idea, right? I mean, that's the go-to thing now, right?
That's
give up carbs, give up white bread, white flour, white sugar, white rice.
Yeah.
I mean, all the white stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you came down here with your wife, obviously, and you said your mother came down, or her mother came down too?
Yeah, her mother moved here about 2 years ahead of us.
Okay.
So she works in the banking technology industry and just got a job offer she couldn't refuse, so she came down.
Okay. And you played music up there as well, or you started when you got down here?
I played up there, but working at that factory, it was 6-7 days a week, 12 hours a day a lot of the time, and I just... Not only did I not have time, but working all those hours, I didn't have the energy. I lived in a very small town.
I was about to ask you what town you were from.
The town is called Galleon, and Have you ever seen Shawshank Redemption?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That was filmed at the Mansfield Reformatory, which is about 15 minutes away from Gallion. So
All right.
it's kind of north central Ohio between Columbus and Cleveland.
Gotcha.
But it's cornfield, bean fields, really not a lot of places to play.
Right. So when did you start playing music? I mean, how did you get your love of music? And we'll get into this whole music thing eventually, but
Yeah.
how did it start?
I always liked listening to it. When I was a kid, I always listened to 45s with my grandmother, played me the Beatles and the Monkees and Sonny and Cher and stuff like that. And when I was in elementary school, I started playing trumpet, and that continued on all the way to I was a trumpet major in college for a little bit. For the little bit I was in college.
Nice.
And at about, I would say 15, 16 years old, I started playing bass, actually. There was a couple of my friends that, in retrospect, they weren't cool, but I thought they were cool.
Right.
You know, I still think they're cool, but they weren't cool. And they played guitar, and I loved music so much, I said, I'm going to learn how to play bass and play with you guys. And I had been playing trumpet for so long, and I kind of had a quick aptitude for music, so I caught up with them pretty quick, and I switched to guitar pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then after that, it took off from there. I played in bands in high school, played a lot in college in bands, but the solo singer-songwriter thing probably started maybe 8-9 years ago.
Okay. What college?
Bowling Green State University.
All right. And you just, they had like a college band, or there was just like, what kind of band was it? I mean, punk band?
I played in a few. Emo was kind of a thing back then. I played in a couple bands where we wanted to be cool emo, but we weren't quite hipster enough. We were hickster, I guess. I played in all kinds of bands. I was really into Radiohead, so I had the pedal board that had all the pedals that made all the noises.
Yeah.
You get the pedals that make all the noises when you're not that great at playing guitar. You can just hit some pedals and they do things for you. So
That makes sense.
I was doing a lot of that, so I'd play in a lot of bands. They had, basically every band needed a guy that just made noises, so I did a lot of that. And in a lot of they call it like post-rock, kind of Mogwai, Sigur Rós. Ever heard any of that sort of thing?
Heard of Mogwai.
Yeah, sort of boring instrumentally stuff. That's when you can't think of any lyrics. You do that. Just a lot of stuff that, in retrospect, really is not cool.
So it was a lot of original band type stuff? I mean,
Yes.
it wasn't covers or anything at that time?
Right. When I was learning how to play guitar, it was all about covers. You know, I grew up playing Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Classic rock, a lot of classic rock.
Sure.
I was super into like Pearl Jam, Nirvana. My teenage years were the grunge years, you know, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, all that.
Okay, so you're an 80s guy.
Born early
in
80s. Yeah, graduated 99.
Okay.
And then in college, a lot of us had bands, and that was all original music.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And then, so you come down here, and you come down here with your wife, obviously. Any kids or anything?
No kids. Two
No
cats.
Kids. Two cats.
Two cats.
Yeah. Not a cat guy. I don't mind cats. I'm getting better with cats, but I've never been a big fan of cats. I don't know why. I think because they ignore me, really. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I like to have some attention, I guess.
Cats are incredibly, they're their own people. I mean, dogs, if you want somebody who's just going to think you're the best person in the whole entire world, you get a dog.
Yeah.
If you want somebody that just ignores you most of the time and you kind of play by their rules, you get a cat.
Right.
But, to me, cats are better than kids because I can leave for the weekend. And, if you leave a kid alone in a house with a bowl full of food and a box to poop in, they're calling child services most of the time. So.
Yeah. Cats are definitely easier to take care of, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had one myself, so I don't know. But from what I understand, yeah, you can just kind of leave them alone a little bit, and they kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I leave my dog here for a week, and
oh man,
every cushion in the house is torn up. And
Yeah.
well, I mean, the cat might do the same thing, pawing things and scratching stuff. But yeah, I don't know how we got on cats and dogs, but
kids.
That's
yeah. What I got there.
So you came down here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And moved to West Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
What made you choose West Ashley over all the other places that you could live?
Uh, for me, it hit the affordability location matrix in just the right spot.
Yeah.
The first time we visited, we actually came to Somerville. At the time, my wife's grandparents lived here, and we liked Somerville. And then we came down a few more times before we actually moved here, and we saw just kind of how long it took to get from Somerville to downtown to the beach and that kind of thing. So, and then we looked at the prices in Mount Pleasant and thought, well, we can't live in Mount Pleasant. And then we kind of looked at James Island a little bit and thought, well, we're not the partying type, so we stayed away from James Island. That kind of pushes you to West Ashley eventually.
Excuse me, I kind of did the same thing. You know, I retired from the Air Force, came back here. That's where I'm from, North Charleston. And came back here. My parents are here. My brothers are here. Came back to kind of be with family. And same thing. I looked at Mount Pleasant. I really wanted to be in Mount Pleasant. I wanted to be close to the beach.
Right.
And I just couldn't afford it. At the time, I wasn't making the money. I wasn't making any money at the time when I came back. It took me a little while to find a job after retiring. But West Ashley was kind of my second choice.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. I was close to Folly Beach. I wanted to be close to the coast. And then I just decided, what the hell. My parents have been in Somerville since 1986. They're still here. My brothers are here. Let's just go to Somerville. You know, cost-wise, pretty much kind of a similar thing.
Right.
There's times I look back and say, man, I wish I would have gone to West Ashley to be closer to that beach. But it's good. And I guess the only problem now, I mean, you've seen it, is the traffic. I mean, the traffic here is just horrible. But it's not good anywhere, really, in the low country. But West Ashley, I think, is a little more manageable.
It's pretty centrally located, too. And for a musician, I play all the way out from Allendale to, Somerville, all the way down to, I get John's Island. And it's pretty central.
Yeah.
And also, we just bought a house. We spent the first year in an apartment while we were figuring out, is this where we want to be?
Sure.
And we really wanted to live off that greenway because I ride my bike, not to work or anything, but I like riding a bike.
Yeah.
So we moved right on that greenway so I could ride my bike on there.
Cool. So you moved to West Ashley. What are you doing now? I mean, you're doing factory work still, or?
No, actually, it's kind of a strange job. I screen porches.
Okay.
Yeah. When I first moved here, I didn't have a plan. Came down here without a job. I had a little bit of unemployment from that factory thing, and I took 2 different jobs for 1 week. But I knew on day one, I was like, this isn't going to be it. I'm a career guy. This isn't it.
Yeah.
And I answered a Craigslist ad for this company that screens porches, and my bosses are younger than me. They're real cool. They say, hey, you like to play music? You need time off of work to play music? You got it.
Nice.
It's kind of light construction, but yeah, I screen porches. It's great.
So you did. So okay. So you're a factory worker. You went to Bowling Green. What'd you study at Bowling Green?
I got in the School of Music as a trumpet player, but I wanted a music recording degree. They were going to kind of build a degree for me. And I learned how to record music, but I don't know, I have a concentration problem, and all those other subjects that weren't recording music, I didn't really much care for them. I didn't know.
All the other core courses and shit that you needed.
Yeah, and I don't know. My generation was one ahead of the generation where they really started diagnosing ADD and differently people who learn differently.
Right.
I'm not a dumb guy. I'm a fairly intelligent guy, but it just wasn't for me. The whole,
Right, just a focus thing.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So, did you get a degree in that? I mean,
no.
You left. You
took
took
off.
off.
2.5 years at that college, and then about a half a year at another college for website design. And basically, I was trying to learn all the things I needed to learn to play music.
Okay. So you came down here. You gave up. You gave up the trumpet. You gave up music design. You gave up factory work and install screened in porches. That's probably good. That's good money around here, right? Everybody wants a screened porch around here. Everybody wants to be outside and enjoy the weather, get away from the mosquitoes. So you need screens on your porches.
Yeah, we're never going to run out of work. It's interesting work. I mean, we're all over. We're all the way from Edisto to Allendale to Goose Creek and down to Kiowa, and I work outside. It's kind of right now. It's kind of cold working outside, but during the summer,
Yeah.
a lot of the time we're at a beach house screening the porch, and I take my lunch break in the ocean. Can't do that at other jobs.
Right. Well, that's good, man. So you found something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, right? No matter what you went to school for or what you're what you're good at, you find something that you enjoy.
Sure.
And you become good at that. Hopefully, that's the key thing. But
yeah.
So, music is your side job. You ever think about going back to trumpet at all? I mean, is that something that you still mess around with?
It's something like I know how to play trumpet, like in the brain, and there's a certain part that you have to know, and then there's the part that it's just like a runner knows how to run, but if he's not in shape for it, he can't run. So
Yeah.
I'd have to get my lips back together and everything, but
Does the beard and mustache
it probably
affect that a little bit?
Probably have to trim the mustache back.
Yeah.
The structure of schooling kind of took the love of trumpet out of me.
Really?
It kind of did. Music is such a sort of free and creative endeavor that the more you try to put it in a box, the less I'm going to enjoy it, at least.
Right. So you've never once, since you've been doing music, have pulled out a trumpet and tried to integrate that into what you're doing?
I did a couple years ago. I was recording a record for my buddy, and we were doing a song, and I said, it sounds like this needs a trumpet. So I practiced for about a week and then laid down some fairly poor trumpet on a track, but it sounds okay.
Yeah.
It's a thing that if I really wanted to, I could probably get it back. I just don't have time.
Right. Yeah, because I talk to a lot of musicians on this show, obviously. That's kind of the business that I'm in, craft beer, music type thing. So, a lot of people have a bunch of different talents. I mean, you got somebody who plays the guitar, they can play the bass, they can play the drums, they can do whatever. So, do you have any other talents? I know you said bass, I know you said guitar, you do a little bit of trumpet. Can you dive into a piano if you needed to, or a drum set, or?
Yeah. As long as I don't have to read music. When I made an album before I moved down here. Actually, between when they sold the factory and when I moved down here, I said, this is my chance to do something. So I made an album in my basement, and then I moved down here. And on that album, I play about 95% of the instruments.
Okay, cool.
So I played drums and bass and a little bit of keys and guitar. And music is one of those things that I have a pretty high aptitude for. If I take on a new instrument, I can learn enough to kind of be passable pretty quick.
Sure.
It's that last 10% on learning an instrument between being passable and good and then, a virtuoso. The first little part of it goes so fast, but it's very few people that can put in the 10,000 hours and be just phenomenal at something.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not there at drums and keyboard though.
Right. But you could fake it till you make it type
Oh,
thing.
absolutely. Yeah, I could fake it.
You could get in there.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I've got a drum set here. I've got a guitar over here that I need to give back to somebody actually that let me borrow it. And I don't know how to play anything. And I've thought about it. I want to do it, but I guess I can't. I shouldn't say I can't. I don't put in the effort to do it, to learn it. But
yeah.
I had my parents bought me a guitar and an amp back when I was, 11, 12, 13, whatever, and I just made a bunch of noise on it and then it sat in the corner for a little while. So I really love music, and obviously that's why I have musicians on the show. I love talking about music. I love hearing music. I love booking music. I love listening to it. But I wish I could do it, and maybe eventually I will.
Yeah, I was lucky enough when I started that I had a lot of friends my age who were doing it too. And if you are starting with another person and the two of you are kind of learning together, and if you were trying to take lessons from somebody and they're showing you and they're just going a million miles an hour, I can see how that would be like daunting. But when you're with somebody and you kind of figuring it out together as you go, and finally you can play a song, and then oh, that chord was in that song. Okay, we can do that and go, So I had a lot of friends that I kind of learned with.
Yeah.
And it took a lot for music to. Well, it didn't take a lot for it to make sense, because I can listen to music and I love music and I listen so much that I know what I'm listening for. But the one thing I appreciate about college is I did learn music theory in college. It's something that, just learning to play trumpet on some simple notes on a page, I didn't understand why.
I didn't even know it was a theory. I mean, really.
Oh yeah. There's
Really?
there's rules. There's reasons chords work together. There's keys. There's tempos. There's all kinds of stuff. And when you learn how the rules work, then you can learn either how to break them or how to make them work in your favor. And it's not to say that if I'm like writing a song, I think like, okay, what are the rules? But, being informed by those things, it definitely helps.
Right.
It's like, you can't, it's like anything. If the more you learn about it, the more you're able to do with it.
Right. And I've heard you say a couple times, you don't read music or whatever, so you never really learned that. I mean, so all the stuff that you play, I know you do a lot of covers and stuff in your tunes, and you got some original stuff too, and we'll talk about that. But so you never really learned how to write or read music?
I can read trumpet music still, and I could read music really slowly. Sight reading is what they call when you're able to just like look at a page and play the song at the speed you're supposed to play it at the correct way. And when you look at a piano, you have both hands on that keyboard, so you have maybe 5-6 notes going on at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you got to be able to see all those notes at once and figure out I got to play all those notes at once. That's something I can't do on the fly. I can kind of pick it apart and do it slowly. And for guitar players, they dumb it down and just write chords. So it's easy for me to see a chord and know what that is. But as far as reading music and being able to do it proficiently, no. I can't do that.
So the stuff you do is pretty much all by ear? I mean, when you learn...
Mostly by ear, yeah.
We'll get into what you play here, I guess. But let's just go into it. Let's go to a Tom Waits song. I mean, you just hear that. You just kind of imitate it. And
and like we were talking about with like theory and stuff, most every song is in a key, and once you figure
you can just hear that key. I mean, you can hear it in your ear. You don't have to see the music.
A lot of the time I can hear what key it's in,
or you can just strum it and say, okay, that sounds like what they're playing.
Figure it out, yeah. And a lot of the time, if you know what key you're in, you know what chords are in the key, and a lot of the time you can hear where it's going. So it's kind of easy to decipher that stuff.
Okay.
So,
So let's just get into that. I mean, what are your influences? I guess. You started off in trumpet. What got you interested in music to begin with? Let's go there first.
I remember when I said I started out listening to 45s with my grandma.
45s with grandma.
So I spent a lot of time.
You said Monkees, Beatles, those type of things, right?
Yeah. Spent a lot of time with my grandma listening to music. We didn't have cable TV at home, and my grandma did. So we'd go out there and we'd watch MTV, and that was back when MTV had music,
But she didn't play any music.
She played the organ in church.
Okay.
My mother played the piano, and she played the organ in church. But my grandma was just whatever. She was into whatever I was into. I was into Pearl Jam and, Stone Temple Pilots. Oh, yeah. I'd be at my grandma's house, and, I'd be in the other room, and she'd say, hey, he said they're going to play a new Stone Temple Pilots song. You got to come in here. And
wow,
she was great like that. So
yeah, that's awesome.
REM. And so I listened to a lot of that stuff with her. And it was kind of that kind of golden time where that was the stuff you heard on the radio. You'd hear Pearl Jam and you'd hear REM on the radio, and Radiohead came out. You'd hear them on the radio.
Right. And let's go back. So when you're listening to the stuff that your grandma was listening to, the Monkees and the Beatles, was that on records or CDs at the time?
45s. Yeah, 45s.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. She didn't have, I don't think she had any.
I think you said that before.
33s. And then I had an uncle who had like a couple 8-tracks that he left there. So I heard like Hotel California on 8-track and maybe some like Supertramp or something like that. But,
right.
And then I had a buddy that when we were learning to play guitar together, it was mostly classic rock. It was what his parents had. So my mom kind of listened to Air Supply and Whitney Houston. So I really didn't listen to a lot of what my mom listened to.
Yeah.
But
I could do Air Supply, maybe not Whitney, but
yeah, Hall & Oates is all right.
yeah, Hall & Oates is cool.
But, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool.
It is now, though, kind of, right? It's kind of retro cool.
Yeah. But at the time, it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
So, I'd go over to my buddy's house, and whatever his parents were listening to, they'd throw on the James Gang, and we'd try to figure out how to play it,
Cool.
But that was all really, the internet really wasn't a thing back then. It was you could maybe get dial-up internet, but there wasn't MP3s, and living where I lived in middle of nowhere, Ohio, there was no way to really find kind of off the radar music. So you had to rely whatever, was on the radio at the time, which I was lucky it was Pearl Jam and stuff like that,
Right. And General Mills. So General Mills closed down, you said. Has it reopened since then?
They sold to a different company. They sold that particular factory to a different company.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen a couple of documentaries, I think, of some stuff that's reopened up there in Ohio, stuff like that. But did you do any music there at the factory? I mean, did you play stuff?
I wrote a lot of songs, actually, at the factory.
Right. But you never had a break and said, let's jam, guys, over here in the corner at the factory, nothing like that?
Nope, I kind of kept to myself.
Yeah, General Mills Band? Nothing?
No, none of that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've come down here. You've got all this music experience. You've gone to college for a little bit of music. You come down here. You move to West Ashley. You're installing screen porches. How do you go about starting your music business down here in the Low Country?
Actually, I started just playing at open mics, and it's funny. When I first moved here, I didn't want to play covers. I just wanted to play my own songs.
So when you moved down here, you already had a bucket of songs that you had written?
Yeah, I had a record that I had made, and I had my own songs, and I started playing at open mics. I played at like Home Team in West Ashley there,
barbecue place,
and that's
the Confessions?
Holy City Confessions.
Yeah, Confessions thing. Yeah,
and played. Let's see, I played over at McCann's, Palmetto, Tommy Condon's.
Palmetto Brewing?
Brewing, yeah. Okay. Yeah, they have one on Mondays. And basically I hit a lot of the open mics because I didn't know anybody. I hadn't really played in front of a whole ton of people. I played a fair amount of shows back in Ohio. I have a buddy that we started into this whole singer-songwriter thing at the same time. You remember Matt that came to Homegrown there in August?
Matt Furlong?
Bauman. Yeah, he and I played a show together there in...
Don't quite remember,
but yeah, he and I went into the whole singer-songwriter thing at about the same time, and we played a lot of gigs back in Ohio that were kind of all original, maybe throw in one cover at the end, and I started playing a lot of open mics and stuff, and people were like, okay, your songs are good, but if you want to get some work, you're going to have to learn some covers.
Yeah.
And I know songs. I know them. I like Tom Waits a lot. I've been learning Tom Petty and
we'll get into that. Yeah,
but so initially I was sort of reticent to do that, but you got to do it if you want to work. I still have.
But that was the cool thing about Homegrown originally is we didn't have the licensing to do any cover tunes,
right.
So Homegrown was all original music, and we had trouble finding artists to come play for us. And Scotty Oliver, who's in Blue Spear, was probably the original. I say probably. I think he was the original singer-songwriter that played Homegrown because he had a bunch of original tunes.
I know.
So that's how he started off kind of the music scene there at Homegrown Brew House. And of course now we do whatever you want to do. But,
sure.
But people don't want to hear originals, right? They want to hear the hits.
I always think of my way of saying is I treat original songs like you give a dog medicine. You got to wrap it up in something they want.
Yeah.
And I still have.
It's a story, right? I mean, you got to kind of tell a story with it, maybe.
Yeah, and I kind of butter them up with a few covers, maybe a few songs they know, and then kind of pivot into what I do with a story. And I still have my lines in the sand, like I won't I won't do Wagon Wheel. I won't do Tennessee Whiskey.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. For the most part, if somebody has a request, I probably don't know it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So, man. But yeah, people want to hear the hits, right? I mean,
they do. Yeah.
And do you feel like when you come into a joint, let's say you come in homegrown or home team or wherever you go, do you have a complete set list of what you're going to do? I mean, this is what I'm going to do top to bottom, or do you make it up as you go along? Do you make it up going based on the crowd? How does that go?
Well, I've actually, I didn't really realize kind of how green I was when I moved here.
Right.
Back in Ohio, I'd been doing a set list of my own songs. I'd written out my set list, and back home it was, if you're playing as an original singer-songwriter, you're probably going to be playing in a showcase, which is, 3 singer-songwriters. So you're going to have a 45-minute to an hour-long set.
Okay.
So you would curate that set. You would write out your set list and have your songs and do it in that order.
Right.
And when I moved here, I don't have originals to cover a 3-hour set list. So thinking, well, how do I fill 3 hours? So I started learning songs, and then, yes, I did. I started keeping a list and wrote out all the songs. Okay, what goes to what? And for the longest time here, about 6 months, I had a set list, and I would play that set list. But then I'd find out, if I were playing 2 nights in a row, well, I played those songs in that order last night. It's not like any of these people were here last night, but I know. So it's gotten to the point where I've gotten a lot of experience here. I played in the last year, I played about 65, 70 gigs, and over the course of that, I've just kind of learned to read the crowd a little better. I have all the songs kind of in my head, and some nights I just feel like playing a certain thing. So lately, I haven't done a set list.
Right, you just kind of wing it.
Yep, I have a list sitting there in case I'm drawing a blank for what to play next. But yeah, I wing it for the most part.
Sure. And I don't think you don't use any iPad or iPhone or anything, right? I mean, you got everything in your head for the most part?
I do. The only time I'll pull out a piece of paper or phone is maybe if I've written a new song and I don't know all my own lyrics yet.
Or request maybe, right?
Yeah, sometimes if I get a request and I actually feel like playing it,
yeah,
I'll kind of look it up real quick. But for the most part, I listen to so much music. I listen to music 8 to 12 hours a day. I listen all day while I'm at work. Screening porches, we can play music. So
right. Most
every song I'm going to get up there and play, even if I'm going to sort of wing it, I've heard it so many times, I probably know all the lyrics. So.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a little bit of a point of pride not having an iPad, and
sure.
It is.
It sets you apart a little bit from the other guys, right? Or the other girls, whatever.
Yeah, and it's nothing on anybody that has one, because they all have stuff that they're doing that's working out for them. So I'm not going to disparage anybody.
Yeah, true. Yeah, for sure. I'm not disparaging anybody either.
Oh, right.
But there is a coolness to being able to put all that stuff together in your head.
Oh, thank you.
And I appreciate it. And you're empty over here, so I'm going to give you another beer.
Oh, thank you.
Same thing. We're not drinking anything different, but so why won't you play Wagon Wheel on those other things you said? What's your problem with those? You just don't like mainstream stuff? I mean, they're just overplayed. You don't like the songs. You don't like the artist.
Yes.
All that stuff.
I'm picky. It doesn't mean that what I choose is right or wrong. I got things I feel. I got things that I'm not feeling. Maybe I got a little bit of hipster in my blood that if something's popular, I'm going to kind of not like it.
Right.
I'll freely admit, maybe I have that going on. It doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all the covers I play are songs I like. They're songs I really like, and they do something for me. I do a lot of kind of obscure songs from the 90s, but those were from kind of my heyday. And
I love it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you do a lot of unique stuff that nobody else is doing that I hear up there at Homegrown, so I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Some of the not new stuff, but some of the, like you said, 90s grunge type era stuff, Jane's Addiction, I think you did the Verve Pipe the other night
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff that kind of brings you back, kind of nostalgic, and
Sure.
kind of takes you back to a point in time where you remember some things in high school or whatever. But it's some stuff that people definitely don't play. And then you play some stuff that people do play, obviously.
Sure.
So it's a good mix. I like it.
Thank you.
It's a really good mix. The thing I wanted to ask you about is your love of Tom Waits. I mean, how did that come about, and why is there such a love of that, and why so many songs from that dude?
I really didn't know a whole lot about Tom Waits in high school.
I didn't know if it was your grandmother or parents or something. Or
I didn't find out about Tom Waits till I went to college. Like I said, the internet wasn't a thing. I only heard what was on the radio, and Tom Waits certainly isn't on the radio. And when I went into college,
well, he maybe is, in some covers and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, people that
are
covering, Hooting the Blowfish and things like this. But
Rod Stewart does Downtown Train, Springsteen, and the Eagles, but he was off my radar till I went to college, and I had some friends that worked at our local college radio station.
And all those bands you just mentioned, I appreciate what you do because you kind of bring it back to the original Tom Waits versions of those songs that I've been listening to for years, and it's a different take on it. And I haven't even heard that take on it, the Tom Waits take. So I appreciate that as well.
I always feel like being a Tom Waits guy, I want to get people into Tom Waits.
Yeah.
So to me, the way to do that is to take it through stuff they already know. I mean, people have heard Downtown Train. Mm-hmm. They probably think it's a Rod Stewart song. I mean, they've heard...
I definitely did.
Yeah, they've heard Springsteen do Jersey Girl. Mm-hmm. They've heard the Eagles do Old 55. And like when I was in college, I had some friends at that local radio station, the college radio station, and Waits' album Mule Variations came out, and it is a weird record. And he actually got a Grammy for it, which I don't know how that happened, but they played it, and it was the weirdest thing I'd ever heard. And at the time, I was just like, I don't care for this.
Yeah.
But it was so weird, and I was just like, I gotta give that another shot, because people like this, and it's weird, and I don't get it. And actually, that record, Les Claypool of Primus played on that record, and I was big into Primus.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll give this another shot, and I listened to it, and it grew on me, and then it got to the point where I was like, let me check out something else. And by the time Mule Variations hit, Tom Waits had been doing music for 30 years. So I got something of his really early years, and I was like, this is a different person. Mm-hmm. He's gone through, I think, like 3 pretty distinct phases of his career. He was kind of a jazzy bar crooner early on. Then in the 80s, he kind of went real weird with it. And now he's sort of like dusty, weird folk Americana. But I got to hear like the lyrics and the stories he'd put into his songs. And he wasn't writing songs to make a hit. He wasn't trying to come up with a singable chorus. He was really putting just a lot. It's almost literature set to music. And he has some stuff that's really simple, and it's beauty in its simplicity. And for people who don't know who Tom Waits is, if you can imagine if Louis Armstrong gargled gravel, and it's just the roughest voice you've ever heard, and there's a little bit getting over that. My wife used to hate Tom Waits, hated it.
Yeah.
And then the more she would listen to the songs, she's like, "Man, those are good songs. Those are good songs." So
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I've ever heard an original Tom Waits song, to be honest with you. I've heard covers of everything, apparently, that I didn't even realize, but I'm not sure if I've ever heard an original. I have to go listen to some of them to see, but...
Well, it is going to be
because the voice you're describing, is not something I think I remember hearing. I think I've heard everybody do the cover versions.
Sure.
Of it.
Well, it's going to be my mission to convert you then.
All right.
I'll make you a Spotify playlist.
I should have listened to some and done some research before you came in here, but
no worries.
I'm just a shitty interviewer, I guess. I don't know.
Make it happen.
Yeah. So, does your wife, is she musical at all?
She is not a player. She doesn't play music. She doesn't. Sorry, honey. She can't sing. But
There's no need to be sorry about that.
When we first met, I had already dropped out of Bowling Green, and she was going to college in Bowling Green. Mm-hmm. And it was her 19th birthday, and she was at the bar for her birthday, and my band was playing, and that's how we met. And when we met, kind of shared our music with each other. She got me into a lot of real cool stuff. I got her into a lot of real cool stuff, and she's been with me all along. She likes cool music. She's not your typical gal, and yeah, so she's with it with the music. I got to give her credit.
And how long you been married?
We have been married. Oh man, if I get this wrong, we've been married 12 years. We've been together for 17 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So when you're doing songwriting, how many original songs do you think you have? Do you know?
This is embarrassing. Less than 30.
Why is that embarrassing?
Okay. My buddy that I mentioned before, Matt Bauman. He's my friend. We went to college together. He was actually a saxophone major when I was a trumpet major. And he quit playing saxophone too, and now he's a singer-songwriter. He lives in Cincinnati right now. Oh, I bet he has 200 songs.
And are they good, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I mean, right now I'm playing a lot more than he's playing. Maybe I'm a better guitar player. I'm a better guitar player. When it comes to the singing, he has his own delivery, man, and he plays harmonica, and he writes just devastatingly beautiful songs. And I'm jealous of the guy. And for me to say less than 30, maybe it's less than 20.
Okay.
It's probably less than 20.
Have you guys done anything together? Collaborations or anything?
We have. One song on my record we wrote together. We wrote another song together that he put out as a single. He and I are going to tour a little bit in March, and hopefully we'll do some more writing together.
Okay. So my original question was going to be, so when you do your original songs, what's your inspiration for those original songs? I mean, do you try and make them in the style of Tom Waits? I mean, do you have your own style? I mean, what's your writing like?
The funny thing about Tom Waits being my guy is I probably don't sound anything like him.
Right. Not sound like him, but
but probably not
writing
even
style.
Probably not even writing songs like him. My writing style, and this I personally consider this to be a drawback of my own, but I cannot write about something that is not real to me. So I can't write a fictional story. All of my songs are about me, and they're about my life and about the things I've gone through and the things I've experienced and maybe some friends of mine, but
I mean, you would think that's what all songwriters are writing about, right? Mean, it's got to be a life experience, no?
I don't think so. For sure. The best songs are.
Yeah.
Not saying mine are the best, but a lot of people, there is a songwriting industry where they are crafting songs to be hits.
Well, that's true.
And they're hits, and they make.
But I mean, the real songwriters that are writing songs themselves and not buying songs from somebody else.
Right.
I mean, they're usually writing about their life experiences, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some fiction that goes into the whole thing. I just got to learn that end of it. I got to learn to be a little less honest. Maybe I can get more songs.
Less honest? Why less honest?
I don't know. I like one of my songs I just wrote about the things I haven't done. I mean, I hear a lot of people singing about hopping on trains, and I went down to the railroad track, and I grew up in a small little town in Ohio. I didn't really have a whole lot of heartbreak or divorces, and my dog didn't leave me, and so I can't sing about any of that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, that's country. It's country tunes, right?
Yeah.
So what would you classify your tunes as? I mean, do you have a classification that you fit into? Folk music, Americana?
Folk Americana, probably.
Yeah.
It tends to occasionally get maybe country adjacent, but without really dipping its toe into country.
Yeah, I don't feel a country vibe, really.
Right. I don't have a twang. I don't have an accent really at all. I don't.
That's probably what it is. I mean, there's definitely a country twang, like you said, to it. But
I wear a trucker cap, not a cowboy hat.
Which
Yeah.
I think, well, we won't get into all that, but yeah, I think a
Sure.
lot of country artists are kind of giving up the cowboy hats for the trucker hats. It's kind of to fit in a little bit more
Sure.
to a niche or whatever. But I do see you have a Revelry hat on.
Yeah,
Do you like Revelry Brewing Company?
I do. I've actually only been to the brewery once, but I really like their hats.
Right.
If anybody has a cool hat, I will buy it. But yeah, I like Revelry a lot.
Right. So let's dive into that for a
Sure,
second. So
yeah.
we're drinking a Benford Brewing Company beer that's out of Lancaster. But do you drink a lot of craft beer? I mean, are you a beer guy?
I am a beer guy, but I'm also a musician, so I'm inherently poor. So at home, more often than not, I'm drinking a Miller High Life or a Hams or
Yeah.
something.
Hams.
Hams.
That's up north, right? Where's that from? Hams.
I believe it's up north, but it's a good one. They just got Hams
We're
here.
talking about it.
Yeah,
I've heard of that before, but I can't remember where it's from. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Or a Coors Banquet, basically a Midwestern Uncle beer, whatever your Midwestern.
So you're not a light beer guy. You like kind of the classic Budweiser,
Yeah,
Coors
yeah.
Banquet type thing.
Yeah, Coors Banquet.
Hams.
I'll drink PBR and Hams and all that stuff, but
Where is? I can't find it.
But the one nice part about being a musician is you get to play a lot of places where they give you beer, and then I tend to be a little more picky at those places.
I don't know.
Of the local Charleston, I like Palmetto a lot.
That was my next question. That was leading into
Sure.
do you have a favorite brewery around here in town, the Low Country? But
I really like Palmetto. I like Westbrook a whole lot.
Okay.
Man, I'm going to forget something. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. Rusty Bowl is really good. My wife is huge on Edmonds O's. She loves the sours.
Yep. Yeah, they're probably one of the best guys to go to for sours
Oh,
locally. For sure.
When you say sour, that's probably the first place to go is Edmonds O's.
Yeah. And Revelry, they have a side brewery called The Hold,
Right.
which is their sour brewing company, and they're fantastic as well.
The nice thing about Charleston, there's so many breweries here, and everybody has at least one good beer.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's you're going and you're just getting a lawn mowing beer lager, it's everybody's got a good beer.
Right, and the lagers are making a huge comeback right now.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. I don't know about the spiked seltzer thing that's starting to get big here.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that.
Yeah, that should not be in the beer industry whatsoever. That should be a totally separate seltzer industry type thing.
Right.
But
There's some places that's kind of taken over.
it is, and it won't take over at Homegrown. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I like Palmetto. I'm not going to get into what I like. These people know what I like. There's a lot of breweries in town. I think we're up to, I don't even know what the number is now, 33 or 34 breweries here in the Low Country, and Revelry is a fantastic one.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you want sours, Edmonds O's, The Hold. I don't know. How many places have you played brewery-wise? I know you said Palmetto already,
I
but...
played Palmetto. I played Rusty Bull. I played Wide Awake here in Somerville.
Oh, nice.
I'm forgetting. A lot of places.
Yeah.
There's some places I'm trying to get into. I'm still kind of new on the scene. There's a lot of people that have made a much bigger name than me here. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but I'm trying to rub shoulders with them.
Yeah, for sure.
So next year I hope to be in a lot more of these places.
Right. And you said you've got one CD out,
Yes.
and that was a while ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. I feel like I need to be doing something new. So
Do you have something in mind? I mean, do you have a set list already set for another EP or an
yeah,
LP or
yeah.
something? Or?
I've actually got. I want to do 2 EPs in the upcoming year. I've got about 5 original tunes, and then my buddy Matt that I was talking about. He writes so many songs, and he's always in love with his newest.
This is the guy you said that has like
Yes.
200,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
He's always in love with his newest songs, and he'll just keep writing and writing and writing, and he always sends me demos, and there is about 5 songs. Well, there's way more than 5, but there's 5 I've chosen that have gone unrecorded, and so I'm actually going to do an EP of my buddy's songs,
Okay.
just to get them out there to the world.
Nice.
So,
And he's approved that. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
not going to
he's-
sue you or anything.
No, he's
or-
good with it. There's actually a song he's written that is on the album I put out. So
Okay.
yeah, he's good with it.
So how does it work? Like if you're going to put out an EP and you want to cover somebody's song, how does that work? How do you go about covering? Like say you want to do not Wagon Wheel, but
Sure.
a Tom Waits song
Yeah.
or whatever. You want to put it on your album and
Yeah.
do your own spin on it. How does that go about? How do you do that?
There is you basically have to pay a certain percentage royalty for every physical copy you produce.
Okay.
And then there's a certain percentage, it's a different amount royalty for every streaming thing. But there's basically a company you can go through and like you can tell them I'm going to make 500 CDs and they'll say, well, that's 15 cents per CD and you owe us this much, go ahead.
So it's basically just money.
Yeah, it's money.
Yeah.
It's money. Yep.
So nobody really cares unless you,
Yeah.
as long as you
Yeah.
pay them for it.
And
You can do whatever you want to
the
do.
deal I have with my buddy is I made this record and he's like, just put it on the record. But there's two parts to everything. There's also the publishing side. So with my streaming royalties that are out there, I make like fractions of
Yeah,
pennies.
that's what I hear from
Yeah.
everybody. On Spotify
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Podbean, all these places. Yeah.
And for him having written that like tiny little sliver of a fraction, he'll get a tiny little sliver of that fraction. So
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't stack too well.
Right. So you are on streaming services.
Yeah, all the Spotify's and the Apple Musics and Google and Amazon and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
So just type in Eric Barnett and they'll find you.
They'll
Is there
find,
any other person out there?
oh,
Eric Barnett?
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Excuse me.
there's another Eric Barnett that made
Drinking
like
beer.
reggae in the 60s. You'll get a lot of him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm not getting any of his money.
I might like that guy, actually.
You might. But yeah, that's we're the main ones. I'm second place behind 60s reggae Eric Barnett.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good spot to be, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. On YouTube, there's some wrestler named Eric Barnett. Oh, and there's a really good guitar player in California. Way better guitar player than me, but he's not putting out albums under his own name, so we're good there.
Okay. Well, speaking of YouTube, so you can go out to YouTube and you can see you actually perform
Yeah.
some stuff. Do you have
Yes.
some videos?
I do. Yes.
Produce stuff, self-produced, or do you have studio stuff, or what?
I self-produce all my stuff. So, when I went to college for the music recording and also website design, I kind of wanted to just learn to do all that stuff so I could produce my own music.
Okay.
I just don't want other people touching my stuff, and I don't want to pay anybody else.
Yeah,
So-
as I was about to say,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to give up a little bit to
Yeah.
do that. So, yeah, if you know how to do it all yourself,
So,
why
yeah.
why bother?
So here in the upcoming year, I want to do a lot more with YouTube, and that's kind of where we're headed. I mean, I can make money traveling around Charleston playing music, but nobody outside of Charleston's going to hear about me. So YouTube's the way to do it, really. I mean, if you want anybody outside of your market to hear about you, you gotta have an online presence.
Sure. So speaking about, let's go into that for a second, and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up, I think, and do some music maybe. Hopefully, you brought your guitar in, so hopefully we'll do a couple tunes. But so you do stuff here locally in the Low Country at the moment. Are you traveling up and down? You doing any regional stuff, international stuff, national, anything else outside of Charleston area, Low Country?
About three times a year, I go back to Ohio, and I have about 3-4 places I always play when I go up there. There's a place that was a kind of a tap room where in my hometown that they opened right before I left.
Yeah.
So, my home opened right before I left home.
Yeah.
But every time I go back there, I always play there. They just became a brewery, which I'm really excited about going up there and checking out their stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah, about 2-3 times a year, I'll go back and play a handful of shows in Ohio. And just recently, I went down to New Orleans over Thanksgiving, and on the way, I played in Apalachicola, Florida, and I played a little gig in New Orleans. And Apalachicola, Florida is there on the Gulf Coast, and they call it the Forgotten Coast because they get slammed by hurricanes. And it used to be really big tourist industry, and then they got slammed by the last couple hurricanes pretty badly. And the tourists kind of just said, we'll go somewhere else. And they kind of feel forgotten.
Yeah.
But when I played there, I loved it. So the reception when I played there was so great. They're kind of starving for musicians to come down there. So,
what was it? Kind of like a restaurant type thing or a bar?
It was a bar. I played in a bar called Bowery Station, which unfortunately they're changing owners at the first of the year. But he gave me a lot of contact information of other places around the area, and I kind of went different places around the area too. And I kind of like that Forgotten Coast quite a bit. So in March, I'm doing a 2-week tour down there.
Cool.
I have they call it an anchor gig. I have an anchor gig in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm playing a songwriter festival. So on the way there and on the way back, I'm going through that Forgotten Coast and playing gigs, and I'm going to be shooting a lot of videos. And
very nice.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm trying to kind
Taking
of
a wife
branch
with
out
you?
a little. No, actually,
No.
she can't get off work.
No? So the Forgotten Wife, Forgotten Coast.
Yeah. One of those 2 weeks, my buddy Matt's going to be joining me. So he's going to...
The Ohio guy.
Yeah. He's going to fly down. I don't know if it's the first week or the second, but we're going to live out of a car for a couple weeks. I'm going to sleep in a tent and do all that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The classic singer-songwriter guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
That's exciting, really.
Oh, I'm very excited about it. I'm working on booking it right now.
Yeah. And hopefully you get some good, like you said, YouTube videos out of it. Maybe some songwriting on the road. Maybe a couple songs come out of it, and you put it on the EPs and stuff. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about doing a couple EPs in the next coming year, you talk about doing hard CD type stuff, or are you doing streaming?
I think the CD of my own songs, I think I might make a hard copy. I might just do kind of a short run.
Yeah.
I think the one of my buddies, I think I'm just going to do streaming only. And honestly, I mean, I'll sell CDs at gigs. That's where CDs get bought. Nobody is placing an online order for a CD from me. And it's heard mostly streaming. But a lot of the time, if somebody is at a gig and they like you, they'll buy a CD because they want something to remember you by.
Right.
So I am going to make CDs of it, but a lot of...
So most of it's singles right now, right? I mean, people were buying singles, maybe 99 cents, $1, something like that for a single, or
I don't even know if
nobody's doing that anymore.
Anything online anymore? I think it's all why buy what you can get for free. I mean, anybody who's buying a CD from you, unless they're I
mean, some people still like to support the artist.
Yeah, but that's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes to your show and you have a CD and you can sign it for them and they can sit it and say, hey, the guy was really cool, I met him.
Right.
But they're probably taking that CD home and then just listening to it on Apple Music like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one more question for you.
Sure.
And then we're going to pause for the cause, and we'll set up and do a couple songs, I guess, or however many songs you want to do. But,
sure.
So the beard.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the beard. Have you always had a beard? Did you? What made you want a beard? I guess I don't know.
Well,
I'm just interested in beards. I don't know.
Yeah. So when I worked at the factory, it was a food factory.
Okay, so you've had it for a while?
So if you had a beard at the factory, you had to wear a beard net. You had to wear hair nets, too, and a beard net. And the beard net sucked.
It looks horrible.
Yeah. It feels terrible. So I'd have a shorter beard, and I had a beard most of the time there. And when we first moved here, my wife's like, you got to go to job interviews, you got to be clean shaven. Well, I'm kind of a pudgy guy, So the beard, there's a lot of chins going on underneath this beard. It's hiding. Right. And then I kind of lost my hair at a young age, so it kind of balances things out to have the beard. And lately, it's kind of getting longer, and I'm actually trying to grow it up a little bit. You can see it's a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
So it's part of the it's part of the look too. It's the folk musician, you got a beard, and it's pretty distinctive. I get mistaken for Chris Boone occasionally.
Oh, I can see that.
He has a fantastic beard. I take it as a compliment.
Yeah, I mean his is probably
almost
double yours, right? I mean it's pretty big.
It's a great beard.
Yeah,
but I'm not trying to hone in on his beard territory. Nothing but respect.
Right.
But yeah, I like it.
Okay, and the wife likes it.
She likes it. She likes it when it's not quite so crazy, but she likes it too.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to pause for the cause. We're going to set up and do a couple tunes here. So we'll be right back in a few moments, guys. I'll sing a couple lyrics real quick.
I am that noble oak. I am that mighty pine.
Maybe come in just a tad.
I am that evening sky. I am the stars that shine.
Okay. All right, so after the potty break, we are back with Eric Barnett. He's going to play a couple of his original tunes, right?
Yeah.
No covers?
Yep, no
original
covers
stuff
tonight.
So we'll do a couple tunes.
Sure.
What's the first thing we're going to hear here?
This is a song, this is called I Am. This is a song I wrote for a buddy of mine. He passed away just over 8 years ago.
All right, I think you played this the other night, right? Saturday night? Yep.
Yeah, he was 29 years old, and whenever I think of him, he was like the funniest dude, the nicest guy, and it always warms my heart every time I think about him. I'm not a particularly religious guy at all, but I do think that people can still exist, in the memories that they leave behind, and this is just thinking about that.
Awesome. Well, let's do it. What's it called again? I'm sorry.
It's called I Am.
I Am.
I am that noble oak. I am that mighty pine. I am that evening sky and the stars that shine. I am that twisted stream. I am those fallen leaves. I'm the sunlight through your window and that summer breeze. With my wheel set to spin, my song in the wind, I'll be back again. I am those rolling plains. I am those fields of grain. I am that barren wall, the picture in the frame. I am that endless road. I am your will to roam. And I'm taking you away, bringing you back home. With my wheel set to spin, my song in the wind, I'll be back again. Though I tried to stick around, I couldn't make it long. Well, I tried to be the singer, but I ended up the song. With my wheel set to spin, my song in the wind, I'll be back again.
Wow. That's nice, man. So, man, kind of touching, really. But
Okay.
so, what's your process for writing something like that? I mean, do you start off with just the lyric, or do you have a tune in mind on the guitar? I mean, it's different for every song, I guess. But
It's a little bit different for every song. I am horribly slow at writing lyrics. I will write something and I said, this sounds a little too woke up, got out of bed, kind of, if it sounds normal, I'll toss it out. I don't let much past the goalie. That's why I'm so slow at writing songs. That song, actually, it didn't start out being about my buddy. It started out looking around myself and seeing these things in nature and kind of feeling a connection with it. And the deeper I got into it and the more I thought about, having a connection with the things you leave behind and everything, by the time it was done, it was like this was about my buddy the whole time. So, some other songs, maybe I have a thing to say or a story to tell, and it'll come that way. But a lot of times the songs kind of sneak up on me. I don't set out of the gate planning on doing something, and then a line hits me kind of funny, and then before you know it, it's a song. So.
Right. So before we get into the next one,
Sure.
to just kind of expand on that. So the process, I mean, do you sit in the car and all of a sudden something comes up and you pull out your voice notes on your phone, you jot some stuff down, or you type it in? Or
I have a lot of stuff on my phone that's going to be songs. Most of the songs off that first record I made came out of a piece of paper I pulled out of my pocket while I was at that factory, and I just jotted down on that piece of paper, and by the time I got home, it'd be a song. So,
right.
Yeah, it's a surprising amount of songs are written without a guitar in my hands.
Okay.
And then,
because a lot of people do it reverse, right? I mean, they write the tune first and then they put a lyric to it.
Sometimes I'll do that. I wish I could do that more because I have about 10 songs that I really like playing and I have no lyrics for, but
that's okay too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you ever just put out something that's just instrumental?
I don't know if they're quite engaging enough to do that.
Okay.
I definitely hear where lyrics could be, but I don't know. I don't want to. If I ever try to sit down and force a song, I don't feel like it would be. I don't want to have a song just to have a song. I want to have it mean a thing.
You want to feel it,
yeah.
So one more question before you get on to
Sure.
the next tune. So have you ever written any of your songs? Has it ever been a collaboration? I mean, do you ever write a instrumental and somebody else puts the lyrics to it, or vice versa?
The one song the couple of songs I wrote with my buddy Matt, we kind of bounced stuff off of each other.
Okay.
But a lot of the time, I have another buddy named Tim that I've written about 3 songs while Tim was in the room. And the way that would work is I would start writing it, and then he'd have a suggestion I would ignore. And then it would make me come up with a different thing, but I should really give him credit for helping.
Right, he spurred the information.
It was in ignoring his input that I found the thing I wanted to do, and it's not
the inspiration, not the information, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that his thing was. I don't know. My buddy Tim has a very good instinct for pulling the right kind of stuff out of me. So that's another guy I kind of collaborate with occasionally.
Okay. And I said one more question, but I got one more question.
Sure.
So has your wife ever written any lyrics for you?
No. No, but she is probably the first, between her and Matt, she's the first person that hears the songs I write, for the most part,
Okay. Cool. All right. What you got next, buddy?
I'm going to angle this thing slightly up because I strum on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, and I'll move it a little bit if I see the level's too high or whatever. But
Does that sound all right?
Looks good to me. And you're using a pick this time. So the last one you didn't.
Right.
So what's your preference? Do you have a mix of both?
It kind of depends on the
I'm
song.
asking a lot more questions than I said
no
just
worries
one.
At all, man. It kind of depends on the song. I like playing that finger stuff because it's kind of one of those things that takes a while to learn, and once you learn it, you're proud of it, so you play it more.
Yeah.
But it sort of depends on the delivery of the tune as well. This is one I wrote with a pick, so I use a pick on it. But
okay.
Yeah. Remember when I said that a lot of people write songs about, like, I went down to the railroad tracks and
the country tune.
Yeah.
Lost my girl, my dog died.
Yeah. And I was thinking about those things and how I lived a very sheltered life in a small town where there was kind of nothing to do. And so I started making a list of all the things I haven't done. And that's what this song is. I actually call it Country Resume because I lay out my resume for writing country songs.
Okay.
So that is this one. Never worked in a coal mine. Never thumbed my way across the state line. Never sat alone, cried into my beer. So how can I tell you what you want to hear? I've never been in a bar fight. Never shot a man just to watch him die. I can't say I felt the devil drawing near. So how can I tell you what you want to hear? But I've slept in my car, and I've closed down my fair share of bars. Been laid off and let down, cheated on and pushed around. I've had my share of heartbreak, but not more than I could take. I've never rode in a boxcar, never paid my rent by playing my guitar. Never been the kind to live my life in fear. So how can I tell you what you want to hear? Now I'm down to my last dime, so I'll take it home one piece at a time. Been put down and put out. I've had my worries and my doubts. I've had my share of heartbreak, but that don't always make for a good song.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a parody of country songs, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
It's very cool. Those are fantastic songs.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And either one of those on the EP,
Both of them,
the album that you had before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can find that on, like you said, Spotify and Apple iTunes,
Yep.
all that kind of good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Very awesome. And I've got you down here, what are we in, December? So I've got you down here playing January 30th
Yes.
at Homegrown Brew House. And then I think that's it, right? No, I got you February 27th, actually,
Yep.
in at Homegrown Brew House as well. So anything else you want to promote? And where else you playing? Cool. I mean, this is going to come out next Wednesday. So anything after that?
If you go to my website, ericbarnettmusic.com, it has all the shows, and like me on Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Sure.
And if you can't remember ericbarnettmusic.com, go to karate.pizza.
What's karate.pizza?
Just go to karate.pizza. It works.
I'm going to check it out
Yeah.
for sure. And I usually have a pen up here, and I write down everything in my book. I haven't written down a thing because I can't find a pen.
Sure.
So I'm going to have to go back and listen to this whole show in its
Yeah.
entirety and write down notes and stuff. But,
Yeah.
So, man, it's been so awesome having you here, man. I appreciate. I'm glad you made it without any other further mishaps.
Yeah. We'll see
little
if I can get
scratch and
home
dent
all
here.
right. Yeah.
Be safe.
I
going
heard they
home.
put out the bumpers like in bowling. I can make it home. We'll be good.
And you're going down 61 on your way back?
No.
No. There's a lot of deers this time
Right,
of night.
yeah,
Don't go
yeah.
down 61 this
Yeah.
time of night. Well, Eric, I appreciate you coming in, man. It's
thank
been
you, Brian.
fantastic. I had a great time.
Yeah,
The
same.
music is great, and I can't wait to do it again. I hope you come back.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man. And to all you guys out there in YouTube land, whatever podcast land, we'll talk to you soon, guys. All right. Thanks, Eric.